On this brew, we're going to be making a Czech premium pale lager. I'm also going to be decoction mash on this one. So this is something I've never done, but I've wanted to, and I did a little research on it, and I think I feel comfortable enough to do it. We'll see. So in this recipe, it is going to be 11 pounds, 11 ounces of Pilsner. It is going to be 12 ounces of Carafoam, and then 8 ounces of Acidulated Malt. And that's it. I'm assuming, because it's going to be decoction, that when I am boiling the mash on the stove, that we're going to generate that caramely flavor, darken that color a little bit. I don't think Beersmith takes an account for the decoction mash because its color is, I think, SRM is low. Yeah, it's around a 4. And I think it's going to be darker than that. It does not say on this printout what it is, but I noticed it was low. So anyways, why don't we get into this? I hope you guys enjoy this video. A little bit different. We'll see how bad I screw it up, and hopefully it'll come out good and taste great. So if you guys are ready, let's make some beer. I add something in here. This is going to be made with just distilled water. I bought this Vevor distiller, not a liquor distiller, but a water distiller. And so the last couple days, because it takes like 4 hours to make a gallon. So the last 4 days I've been collecting it, and then I just keep dumping it into my kettle. So now I've got roughly 8.5 to 9 gallons of distilled water. Then I'm going to add my salts into the water here. I'm going to start that. The actual profile here is next to me. And so I'm going to weigh out my minerals and salts right now. All right, so now we're going to be adding in our salts. I did read somewhere when you're adding salts, some salts actually dissolve in cooler water better than they do in hot water. So I tend to try and get my salts in while the kettle's still cool before I get it heated up. So then they eventually all will dissolve properly in that water. I got a question for anybody out there. Please leave a comment on this because I don't know. I'm doing the acid rest. I'm using acidulated malt. Two of the things I've never done before. Well, the acid rest is at 95 degrees. And it looks like milk. I don't know if that's from the acidulated malt or if that's the acid rest producing that color right now. Hopefully it starts looking like beer once we raise the temperature, but weird, right? I don't understand this. Please leave a comment down below and let me know if you got the answer, because I just wonder why this is. Hopefully it just will be fine towards the end, but it's odd. So it says that we're supposed to take about 2.5 gallons of the mash out and then boil it. So I'm going to estimate 2.5 gallons, and I'm just going to have enough of the wort in there to just cover up the mash. I don't want it too dry, but I don't want too much wort in there either. So, all right, let's go. So that's the consistency we got here for this. So let's get it up on the stove. Here we go again. We started at 15 minutes for the mash at 156. I got one more boil to do, and then we're going to mash out. At 168, I'm sorry. So after this, bring it back upstairs for the last decoction and bring it down. That one's going to be a little less. It's only going to be a gallon instead of the 2.5. It's about, that's 1.25 gallons instead of the 2.5 that I've been putting on the stove. So I just cut the end off of my Whirlpool arm. I just don't think when it is sitting in the kettle and it sits like this against the wall, I sort of want to have it more twisted so it's sort of running right along the wall, and it just didn't seem like it pointed towards the wall enough, and I don't think I was getting a really good Whirlpool. So, well, I cut it off, so we'll see what happens. All right, so we're at 1044. Now we're going to go do our final decoction. This one is going to be just 1.25 gallons. And again, we're just going to do our 10-minute boil once I get it up to the kitchen. Come back down. We're going to raise the temperature up to 168 and do our mash out, and then we'll start our boil. And I'll tell you what, this is so far the longest brew day I've ever had. This is going forever. So 2 gallons, or excuse me, I've been doing like 4 or 5 scoops, and so I'm just going to do 2 scoops on this one. And then we'll just make sure we got enough liquid to cover it. I'm going to do just a half a scoop. This is the last decoction. And we're going to dump this back in, do a mash out, and start the boil. So mash is done. We're going to pull the grains and start our boil. All right, so I made my first mistake already. So I forgot I'm doing a 90-minute boil, and my hop additions were supposed to go in at 60 minutes. I added them at the beginning of the boil. So I have to recalculate my IBUs because my hops are going to be in there for 90 minutes instead of just 60 minutes. So after recalculating my IBUs, it went up just a little bit. Luckily, the hops that I'm using in the first edition are low alpha acid. They're only like 2.5. So 2.7 and 2.6. And then the 30-minute hop edition is a 5% alpha acid. So It actually didn't really change it much. It just went up a couple points, so I'm good with that. Thanks. So we've been boiling for 60 minutes. We're adding our last addition of hops, which are going to be Saaz. 30 minutes left in the boil, and we'll start a whirlpool. The boil is done. We're going to cut the heat, and I'm going to turn on the chilling water. So we'll start cooling this down and we'll do our whirlpool. All right, so we'll let that go for a while, and we'll start filling the fermenter, and we'll get it. Hopefully, we'll have to probably put it in the fridge to cool down to pitching temperature, and then we'll pitch the yeast. So that'll probably be later tonight, or maybe probably tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna do a 10-minute whirlpool, and then we'll let it rest for 15 minutes after that. All right, so we're now putting the wort in the fermenter, and we're still running it through the plate chiller. That is a hoppy mess. All right, so welcome back. Today we're tasting the quintessential Czech premium pale lager, style that celebrates, a style that's celebrated for its rich, complex, and refreshing character. This lager originated from the heart of Czech brewing tradition, stands out with its notable malt and hop presence, offering a taste that's both intricate and well balanced. My recipe aims to embody the essence of this beloved beer style. We began with a color target was 3.9, fell right into the 3.5 to 6.0 SRM that the BJCP guidelines recommends. Mine is still cloudy. It hasn't cleared up as clear as it should be. I assume that another another week or so will probably clear that up. I also may have a little chill haze, but otherwise the color, it's that nice gold, maybe like that straw color. The bitterness ended up being 3.6 IBUs. Again, falls right into that 30 to 45 IBU range that it's supposed to be at. My original gravity was 1.056. It finished out at 1.014. Again, falls right into those guidelines for the BGCP. And it finished out at 5.6%. It's really drinkable. It tastes delicious. We'll get into the tasting in a minute. Head seems to dissipate rather quickly. But the carbonation level does seem appropriate. It's not overly carbonated. It's got a nice low carbonation to it. It's not super bubbly. As we reflect back onto the recipe that we did, I started out with 8.7 gallons of distilled water. I then adjusted the water profile, so I came out with 5.2 parts per million calcium, 0 magnesium, 4.8 parts per million of sodium, 5.2 parts per million of sulfate, and 5.4 parts per million of chloride, and 12.8 parts per million of bicarbonate. This hopefully accentuated the lager unique flavors, bringing out that bitterness that the pale lager has. The grain bill was Pilsner, Carafoam, and Acidulated Malt. And it was a total of 12 pounds. I'm sure back in the beginning of the video I had the recipe there so you can see what it actually percentage and pound wise was. Also, this was the first time that I did a decoction mash. So we started out at 95 degrees for our acid rest, and we went up in increments, you know, taking our mash out, boiling it on a flame, and then adding it back into the mash, raising our temperatures up, and we finally mashed out at 168. First time I did this, again, as I said, I will do it again, but it is a pain. It makes for a very long day, and you're going up, at least in my case, I'm going up and downstairs all day, bringing mash to the kitchen and then bringing it back down. But I do say that I do believe it adds a little bit more character to the outcome of the beer. Then we boiled for 90 minutes. We added Tettnang and Saaz hops in this beer. Brings out that nice floral and spicy character of the hops. Fermentation, I started fermentation at 54 degrees. I let it free rise up to 60 degrees. I let it sit at that temperature for 6 days. After that, fermentation was completed. I let it cold crash to 33 degrees and let it stay at 33 degrees for 13 days. I then kegged it. I force carbonated it for 24 hours, so I put it right up to 30 psi. Then after 24 hours, I set it back down to about 10, and I let it sit like that for 12 days. So I think we are a total of 32 days or something like that from brew day to today. Maybe 34 days. All right, so as you can see here, definitely a white, very creamy, or excuse me, very foamy head. As I said earlier, it's got some haze to it. I just don't think it's clarified enough yet. Probably give it another week or two. It definitely has a nice bready aroma to it. Man, that smells good too. You get just a little bit of the spice and floral from the hops, but that breadiness is definitely coming through. You got the maltiness. It's crisp. It's light. It's damn. It'd be a good summer lawn mowing beer. But you're getting your hops in the little bit of bitterness. It's not overly powering bitter, but it's just the hint of that bitterness that comes through, and it's really goes good with the maltiness of the beer. It's not sweet at all. Not that it finished out really dry at 101.4. This is how a lager is supposed to taste. This is really good. I hate to say it, but if Budweiser and all those other American lagers tasted like this, I'd probably never drink anything else. This is really came really good. I'm very happy with this one. I'm pleased with the way this came out. It difficult beer to brew, but I'm not saying that's something that people can't do. If you have the right equipment, it works out well. But even if you're using the old cooler lauter tun, I think you would be. I think it actually probably work out better for you with that insulated lauter tun when you start adding into that your boiled mash that you bring for decoction and add it back into that lauter tun. I think it'll raise that heat up, and with it being insulated, it'll be, work out well. When I did mine, I don't believe I was adding enough mash when I went up to boil. I think I could have added a little bit more, bring that volume up a little bit, and then I did not have the outcome of adding my boiled mash back into my other mash, and it did not raise it right back up to that temperature that I thought it was going to reach. And then I had obviously set my temperature control to bring the temperature up for that rest. But outside of that and I only boiled for 10 minutes on this. I did not want to boil for too long. This was the first time I had done it, so I wanted to just be more cautious in regards to how long I was going to boil. So I only boiled for 10 minutes. If I had boiled up to the 20 or 25, 30 minutes, I think I would have had a darker colored beer, and I would have had more of that caramelization of the barley. So probably would have changed the profile taste of it, but I think this one came out very well. Anyways, I got some other things going on. I had a beer. Well, you saw it. I posted it. My Kentucky Common that was a flop. And not that the beer probably was fine. Just it was all over the basement floor. And I'm sure if you saw that video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm gonna try. Somebody made a comment in my below the video, and basically get right back on the horse and do it again. So I'm gonna do it again. I just didn't happen to have enough of every ingredient I wanted for that to make it one more time. So in the aftermath of that, I jumped on my computer, designed a recipe real quick with the ingredients that I have here in the house, and I came up with a IPA. So that'll be coming out soon because that one's almost done. This one took so long, I sort of caught up to the next beer. And I'm also, again, running out of space in my keezer, because as soon as I put that IPA in the keezer, I'm not going to have any room for anything else. So hopefully in the next week, I'll kick at least a keg so I can make some room for the next one. Almost getting to the point where I think I need to get a bigger keezer, or another one. Maybe I'll do another one. So anyways, again, like and subscribe. I like doing the videos. I enjoy it. I like making the beer. I've been giving a lot of beer away lately, by the growler full. So I'm trying to go through as quick as possible so I can make the next batch. My higher gravity beers, I'm making 2.5 gallons, so those will go a little quicker if I start giving those away. But again, like and subscribe, leave comments, tell me what I'm not doing right, what I should be doing, what I should do next. Make sure you watch to the end. It's apparently YouTube's algorithms, excuse me, really benefits me if you watch it all the way to the end. So